After a wonderful weekend at Disney World with our family, it was time to head back over to the Atlantic coast. From the campsites at Fort Wilderness, we jumped on Interstate 4 and drove northeast through Orlando and over to Daytona Beach, where we joined I-95. We took I-95 north to Florida 100, taking it east into Flagler Beach. We then drove south on A1A along the shoreline down to Gamble Rogers State Park. Gamble Rogers State Park is a small park tucked gently between the shores of the Atlantic Ocean and the Intracoastal Waterway. This 145-acre park, located on the barrier island, was named for Florida folk singer and storyteller Gamble Rogers in 1992. Rogers drowned in rough surf at the park in October 1991 while trying to save another man. Gamble Rogers has 2 campgrounds with a total of 68 campsites. The Riverside campground has 34 campsites, while the beachside also has 34 campsites. We were fortunate to have booked 8 nights in the beachside campground, including a site that was directly on the ocean. While staying here, we spent a lot of time enjoying our campsite, riding our bikes, and walking on the beach. One day we rode our bikes down to Flagler Beach. We explored the town and walked the boardwalk. But what we enjoyed the most was the beach. Fortunately, the beach adjacent to the state park allowed dogs, so Cassie enjoyed the walks and sitting on the beach with us. We had beautiful weather every day with clear evenings to watch a full moon rising from the ocean. We spent a lot of time just relaxing and listening to the waves constantly crashing ashore. Wait, Cassie. Let's go on the beach, girl. Come on, girl. Ah! Watch it. Oh, that one got us good, girl. So is he catching anything? Slaying him. Good job. It was time to leave Gamble Rogers State Park and head north for our last stop of our snowbird trip to Florida. We went north on A1A to Flagler Beach and then west to I-95. We took I-95 north to I-295, then Florida 105 east. We then jumped back on A1A and drove the coastline north until we reached Fort Clinch State Park. This was the third year in a row that we stayed at Fort Clinch. The entrance to the Cumberland Sound and the St. Mary's River has been of vital importance to the people of Florida for close to 300 years, and this is where Fort Clinch State Park sits. Fort Clinch, as we know it today, began to take shape in the mid-1800s. A row of cannons pointing across the St. Mary's River into Georgia are silent testimony to the strategic importance of Fort Clinch during the Civil War and in its final mission during World War II. At the end of the war, the land and fort was given to the state to open to the public as one of the first state parks in Florida. The historic fort is only one aspect of this diverse 1,400-acre park. Maritime hammocks with massive arching live oaks provide a striking backdrop for hiking and biking on the park's many trails. We stayed at Fort Clinch State Park for 7 days, including the first 2 days at the beach campground. We were able to snag 2 different campsites in this campground. The 2 campsites were probably the best ones in this campground. They were on each side of the boardwalk leading out to the beach. A unique experience we have had while staying at Fort Clinch is seeing the Ohio-class ballistic missile and guided missile submarines. Their home port is the Naval Submarine Kings Base in St. Mary's, Georgia. We have often seen them coming from and going to the base. During our stay at the beach campground, Sue and I walked the beach and hunted for shells. We also rode our bikes down to the fort. And of course, like previous years, we saw the subs again. Clinch, right around the fort, is very famous for finding shark teeth. And there's Fort Clinch. Submarines are come from back there, the submarine base. Now all the shells are coming. For our last 5 days at Fort Clinch State Park, we stayed at the River Campground. This campground has easy access to the fort and visitor center by walking along the river or taking a trail from the campground. Sue and I were able to ride our bikes around a little, but the weather was miserable with rain and drizzle most of the days. We visited with our friends from Ohio, John and Mishka, who were also staying here. Even with the bad weather, Sue and I continued our hunt for shells on the beach. I got to do a little fishing, and Sue, Cassie, and I did manage to walk over to the visitor center and fort a time or two. Weather aside, Sue and I really like Fort Clinch State Park, including the beautiful sunsets over the river. Look who we found! Somebody from Ohio!
Bad boy, someone else. See your stupid ass, and I know you try to be bad.
This way. Go on the trail. Come on, this way. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. That's a girl. Well, that looks nice out there, girl, but no pets beyond this point. Can't go out there. Good girl, I know. You want to go, don't you? Oh, well. With our stop at Fort Clinch State Park, we finished our 2024 snowbird trip to Florida and headed back to Ohio. We had such a good time and the weather was nearly perfect at most of our stops, from the northern Atlantic coast to the central Atlantic coast to the Gulf Coast to the Keys, and who could forget our weekend at Disney World with our family. We have so many warm and heartfelt memories that we created along the way. As we conclude this series of 6 videos from our Florida 2024 snowbird trip, we want to thank the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for hosting us at their great state parks. We would also like to thank the hundreds of campground hosts at all of the parks. And finally, we want to thank all of you who have watched these videos, and we hope that you have enjoyed them. As we continue our travels, we will share our experiences on our YouTube channel, Dave and Sue Travels.